So to start with, I'm going to load up a couple of data sets. The first data set is going to be our employees 2017 data. So in this instance, I'm going to load it to connection only. And the reason we're doing this is because we're going to merge it with another data set really soon. And the second file I'm going to load is employee performance ratings. So I'm going to import this. Okay, I'm just going to click on edit here just to fix up the headers. So we want to use the first row as headers. And what you'll see here is that our performance ratings are basically either top, average, or poor. So that looks all good. Let me load this to connection only. And now I can click Get Data, Combine Queries, Merge, to merge these two data sets together. So my first table, employees 2017, and my second table, employees performance ratings. Click employee here and employee here. These are the fields that we are joining on. We are doing a left outer join, and I'm going to click OK. I'm going to expand this here, and I'm only going to take on the performance field since the employee field exists in both tables anyway. Let's give that a shorter name. Let's call it ratings. And let's call our query, let's just call it employees. And let's load this to our workbook. Now I want to take a minute just to talk about the merge that we just did. So in Power Query we can do this left join, which is roughly the equivalent of a VLOOKUP. Generally speaking, a left join inside Power Query is going to be more efficient than doing a VLOOKUP in your workbook. But there is a time where you might want to use one over the other. Now in the get and transform stage, you load all of your data together, do all of the data prep, and then deliver the data to your model so that you can start working with it. Inside of your model, in other words, inside of your workbooks and inside your sheets, you have formulas which are interactive, which benefits from when you change a value in one cell, it automatically updates values in another. Now, when we load things like, for instance, employee performance ratings, or let's take a simpler example. Let's say we wanted to load something like employee gender. Gender is fairly obvious that it doesn't really change, or at least it's not going to change within the space of time where the user is interacting with your model. So you can load those data sets together at the start using Power Query, and then it won't be necessary to calculate that lookup every single time somebody interacts with your model. Now, in the case of employee ratings, it could be potentially a little bit less obvious, because potentially what you might want to do is you may want to allow a user to tweak the employee's performance ratings within your model and then see what happens. For this example though, we are going to assume that the employee ratings, they're all done as this big batch exercise. We receive the files, which we then sort of collate, compile, and merge onto our data sets. We're not going to get an updated employee ratings information anytime soon. Our job as the analyst is to be able to model the data and see if we apply different multipliers to the different types of ratings for each employee, what would that look like in terms of total compensation cost. So because the ratings don't change during the use of the model, it makes sense to have loaded that data in the Power Query or get and transform stage. In the next part of this, when we're actually going to be modeling different multipliers, it makes sense to load that inside our model itself. So we're going to be adding those formulas to our tables. And that's where the difference comes in.